I cannot help but ask myself, is this a hopeless crusade? Have my actions led to the extinction of our people? The Allspark is a vessel of life. In the hands of Megatron, there's no telling what he might do. The Allspark, yes.
A clean and decisive victory.
Goddamn right! Unlike those movies, am I right? Those movies were messy, they were silly and corny, and those aren't the same as a cartoon.
Wrong genre. Hey, welcome to Cordkillers, the show about watching the stuff you love when you want, where you want, however you want. I'm Tom Merritt.
Hey man, I'm Brian Brushwood. Is this another Netflix original?
I think we had a trailer for this a little while ago, but this is Netflix finally putting out Transformers: War for Cybertron trilogy: Siege. The Rooster Teeth people have made this, and it is a dramatic mech. There's no humans. It's a mech action drama. It is a trilogy of a serialized anime. So the first 6
It's called
episodes,
machinima. That's what you're trying to say. It sounds like machinima, right?
the first
Yeah, that's a great, what is that called? A portmanteau.
That's right. The first 6 episodes, which they're calling Siege, the first of this trilogy, come to Netflix July 30th.
Man,
You know what they say, the more colons in a title, the better it is.
put a pin in that. But I'll tell you what, separately, I want to have a discussion about whether or not we should be afraid of new projects based on old projects. But we're not going to talk about any of those because we have Amos from Ritual Misery joining us. Thank you so much, Amos.
Hey, guys.
So, optimistic or no?
Are you Optimus Prime?
I'm happy to see something like that coming out. That's not the junk.
So you're not mega
had in
dud.
theaters. Yeah, no. I am
folks,
very optimistic.
How does a co-host comes from a podcast that we know most? Sorry, I just wanted, everything has to be Hamilton right now.
Yes, I'm sorry, folks. It's just the way the world works now. You'll see in our primary target. Oh, wait. We're switching metaphors temporarily. It's Price Wars, a new soak. YouTube TV raised its prices for its streaming cable replacement service from $50 to $65. Fubo TV announced that as of July 1st, Warner Media networks like TNT, TBS, and CNN are no longer available on Fubo, but ESPN and other Disney networks are coming to Fubo in August. So Fubo decided to bump its package prices up by $5 a month, making the base package of Fubo $60. In response to both of those, Sling TV announced all new and existing Sling subscribers as of August 1st will get a 1-year price guarantee. So if you sign up right now, your rate will be locked in August 1st. And no, they're not going to raise it between now and August 1st. It just means like you'll get billed August 1st. And from then on, you'll be 1 year solid, no price increases. And in fact, if you sign up for 3 months of service and pay for it ahead of time, they'll send you an Air TV 2 DVR. That's one of those internet DVRs and an antenna. So you can record your over-the-air antenna stuff. That's for recording over-the-air stuff onto a DVR and then streaming it over the internet to whatever device you got. Anyway, so Sling service starts at $30 a month. It's confusing as heck because they've got blue and orange packages and it's all weird. But Brian, it's time to start taking advantage of easy cancellation and do some price shopping. As always, we recommend Suppose.tv as an easy way to see who has the channels you want and for how much.
Yeah, I would say that for every single player in the traditional over-the-top network space, now is the time to shake up everything. Make literally any tiny change you want to your program, announce a new increased price, and say that this is the only moment you'll ever get to switch to the new thing. Truthfully, in a world where sports is pretty much on pause, like this is technically for a consumer the world's worst time to make a change, but that kind of makes it all of these supplier's best time to pitch one.
Yeah, or to put that price increase, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just signed up with Sling TV maybe 2 weeks ago, so I just missed out on this free DVR deal. But for as little TV as I watch on a regular basis, Sling TV has everything, and I'm glad to see that I picked the one that's not going to be raising prices.
Yeah, you're gonna get locked in on your price as of August 1st. I mean, I don't know if you make any package changes, how that affects things. And
Right.
when I had Sling TV, I was making package changes a lot because they have a lot of little add-on packages, for news and lifestyle and stuff. But yeah, I do think that this is now the moment where things get competitive, and we will actually see the benefit of these over your cable company. When your cable company raised prices, your options were to complain loudly to your neighbors and watch TV from your cable company.
Right.
I mean, you might have had an option like DirecTV or Dish viable. A lot of people did. You might not want to deal with it. Now it's easier than ever. You don't have to call somebody to put something on your roof if you want to have an alternative. You just cancel your service and switch to a new one. So people were tweeting me, and I'm sure they were you too, Brian, saying like, YouTube raised its prices. Where do I go? And I'm like, I don't know. You might want to stay with YouTube. It might still be worth the money. Like, it's still not that expensive compared to cable. But if you want to go somewhere, you should go try something else out.
Part of that is them, giving a wink and a nod that where you're going to go. What are you going to do? Vote for Romney? It's like there's only so far you can go.
It's very 2012 of you. Yeah.
Intentionally so. But in this case, I don't know, man. How far off do you think we are from 5G and Starlink and any of these other internet stuffs? Like, are we talking about over-the-top networks, or are we talking about connecting to the internet?
What we got going on here is the ideal situation, right? Like, Amos, Sling's going to try to keep you with that price guarantee, but that doesn't mean you have to stay. At any point,
Right.
if you look over and say, wait a minute, Fubo's got the lineup I want, you can bail. And anybody who's on YouTube TV can do the same thing. It's so easy to switch back and forth between these.
Yeah, that's one of the things that got me onto Sling, was that they did have the packages or the channels that I wanted, because there's only a select few. And I signed up for it. The family, we've had it for 2 weeks, and the family still isn't watching it. Like, they're still watching Netflix and Apple TV and everything else. So
that's the other thing, right?
Yeah,
you could just cancel it all together and not switch to anybody.
Best, most bizarre, backwards advertisement I've ever heard. We've been on it for 2 weeks, and my family still ain't watching none of it.
Right. So
go ahead, sign them up.
Yeah, I love that. I think there's a little bit of learned behavior from folks. Like, well, what do I do now? They raised the price, and it's like, decide if that price is still worth it for you. There's lots of these tools out there. I like suppose.tv because I think it's laid out really well and allows you to just pick the channels you want and then shows you which ones are available. But you can use any of those. It is easier than ever to figure out who has what you want at what price and then pick the cheapest one. Talk about the chicken challenge, Brian. You could take the chicken challenge every month. Friction free.
Sorry, explain to me the friction-free version of the chicken challenge every
month. Because you don't have to pick up a phone and talk someone down.
Okay.
You just switch.
Yeah, I get the vibe that I don't know. Forgive me. We should have had this conversation off the air, but it's like, I don't know how into the chicken challenge I am anymore, because I feel like they're onto us. I feel like they've got all that baked in, and all they want is for somebody to get on a phone, and
it's a chicken free challenge now.
Right. It's like you feel like you're playing their game. Like, all they want is for you to pick up the phone
and my point
and say,
was,
hello,
you
I would
don't
like to
have
have
to
a
take
discussion
the chicken
about
challenge anymore. You don't have to call someone up and try to bluff them into giving you a deal. Just go to suppose.tv, find the deal, and sign up for it. Like, I know it's not as fun, but it's a much better situation, really.
Also, I'm pretty sure they're getting some kind of kickback on suppose.tv.
Yeah, I think they make that clear, is that they have some referral links in there. Yeah. But so far, what I've seen is all the links are all the information is still presented neutrally. So
I agree with all of that. Also, they sent us a lot of emails. And
a lot of the services we talk about send us a lot of emails.
Okay, all right.
Including ones that we
just because any of us
mention
mention one of your services, please don't spam us with all of your emails. That's all we're
Please don't
saying. Yeah.
They don't listen
I don't see any of those emails, so
I know.
it's all good for me.
I did see Bryce run out of steam, and he's just like, "Hey, what's it gonna take?"
We'll
you
talk
to
about this
stop?
at the after talk
Okay,
because
after talk.
I don't want to name the company.
It's fine.
Anyway,
It's fine.
Price Wars.
You know what?
Yeah.
We do like getting emails from people who want to give us money.
Hells yeah, man. What we want is people to keep us loud, live, and independent by heading on over to cordkillers.com, patreon.com/cordkillers. Just $1 an episode, man. That's all we're asking. You get your own independent RSS feed. All of us show you all the love as fast as possible. It's amazing.
Yeah. No chickens will be harmed by backing us at patreon.com/cordkillers.
No
Let's talk about how to watch. Here's one that I think, Brian, we can explain to people. And Amos, I think you probably are up to speed, but I'm curious if you have questions. But I saw a lot of people very confused when NBC announced that it is adding content to its Peacock streaming service from Viacom CBS. TV shows from CBS, Showtime, and the CW, along with films from Paramount, will be available at wide launch of Peacock starting July 15th. Don't forget that Peacock's out for some Comcast customers, but the majority of the U.S. public gets it July 15th. So that confuses a lot of people because they're like, wait, aren't these the shows that they put on CBS All Access or Showtime, the paid service? And the answer is yes. But CBS has played this game differently from the beginning. They have said our library content, forget our originals, that's a whole different thing. Star Trek Discovery, a whole different thing. But our library content, old episodes of Dick Van Dyke, Cheers, etc., we'll license them to anybody. There's no exclusives there. So Netflix, you want them? You got them. Hulu? Sure. Line up. Peacock? Not a problem. Write a check. Here you go. We'll give them to you. And that's going to help all of these services because Peacock can now have a higher number of stuff in its catalog because of that.
Yes. I'm trying really hard not to bring Quibi into the discussion. But
now I'm very curious how you were going to plan. Like, should Quibi license CBS shows?
No. Just that Quibi leans so heavy into originals, and now it, as a result, it doesn't get to make these kinds of moves, right? So, yes. CBS makes a lot of shows. Shouldn't be weird that it's on Peacock.
Amos, what do you think of this?
I think that anytime any of these services or any of these property owners want to try a different strategy and try to mix it up and try to get it out there in different ways, it's good for the consumer because it's showing that experimentation that's going to finally bring us to products that are good for us as opposed to good for just the entertainment companies. So if they want to mix it up and get, cross network shows and everything else, I'm all for it. They're going to find a niche that wants that particular subset of shows on that network or whatever. And, if it's just all your original content or just all borrowed content, then you get the old Netflix or, obviously we've evolved beyond that. So the more experimentation we have, the better off everybody is. So, the networks, the providers, us.
Counter example, what happens when everybody is licensing everything to everybody else? And all of a sudden, it doesn't matter what service you have.
Well, then the originals are what distinguish you, right? This is what's interesting is right now you think of even the catalog stuff as being exclusive, right? Warner Media holds the rights to Friends, and they fought to get those rights back from Netflix so they could put them on their own service. Sony owns the right to Seinfeld, and Netflix threw down some money to get Seinfeld on Netflix, right? So you talk about these heritage shows. CBS could be doing that with Cheers, right? And there would be all this concern about, Cheers is leaving Netflix. Where's it going? And we'll talk about Mad Men moving around later. But what CBS is doing is saying, we think we're gambling that this content really isn't the thing that drives subscriptions. What drives subscriptions to CBS All Access is Star Trek Discovery, is the good fight. So why wouldn't we try to make as much money in bulk on Cheers rather than trying to jack up one price from an exclusive arrangement? And I don't know which one actually makes the most money, but I'll tell you what, CBS probably has an easier time going to Peacock and saying, hey, write us this check and we'll give you this entire back catalog of stuff than they do clawing and scratching and trying to get exclusive deals out of stuff. May or may not be more lucrative, but it feels like it would be if you get enough of these deals, and CBS is now starting to build up enough of these deals.
Yeah.
I would liken it to the platform wars for video games. Most consoles get most of the games. Some consoles get very specific exclusives. And when you have a person like me that's not dedicated to any specific game line, you end up with, I don't care which one I get, I'm going to play the exclusives on that system. And then you have other people that are like, no, I have to get this system because it has those exclusives, and the rest of it would just fall by the wayside. And then you have people that are like, I want all of it all the time. And we're shaping up to that same sort of economy.
The analog to CBS is we're a studio that doesn't want to be exclusive to a console. We're going to make our games for everybody. But there are studios who do exclusive deals with the consoles.
Right. So I'm all for it. I think it's great.
Yeah. And, I don't think it really is going to change all that much. What is interesting, though, is on the Apple TV app, which decides, okay, I'm rewatching Cheers, right? It'll tell me which episode is next. You're in season 4, episode 21. But when I was watching Star Trek, or when I was watching Picard, it would always launch Cheers in the CBS app because I was paying for it. But when I put that subscription on pause after Picard went off, it started playing it on Hulu because it doesn't have a deal to launch it on Netflix, even though Cheers is also on Netflix. It's just, I don't know why that struck me. It's interesting.
It is funny because every time I call Spectrum to argue about why my internet is down, there comes this point where it's like it gets halfway through the phrase, what is your super secret access? And I just shout, I don't know it. And then the robot says, that's cool. And then puts me in contact with a human.
All right, let's move on to talk about what to watch in Under Surveillance.
I like real estate. It's all about location.
Under Surveillance.
Former Rick and Morty writer and producer Mike McMahon's Star Trek Lower Decks, speaking of CBS All Access, is going to arrive on CBS All Access August 6th. The show focuses on the support crew of an insignificant Starfleet ship, the USS Cerritos. It's set a year after the Next Generation era. So it's Picard era, but not conflicting with any of the timelines from the actual Next Generation stories. And looks like it's meant to be just a comedy of like what it's like to be an ensign on a ship that isn't important, that is not the Enterprise or the Endeavor or any of those.
We've seen various iterations of a similar story, some helmed by Kevin Smith and other talented writers. This one feels so strange to me by being a Star Trek show. Like, is this made any better by it being a Star Trek show?
Amos, what do you think?
Despite the fact that it looks like Go Teen Titans?
You do have the Star Trek, the universe is already there. The history and some of the names and things like that are already there. So you can rely on a lot of that for story notes. But this is another one of those things that as long as it's bringing some sort of value to someone who enjoys Star Trek, I'm all for it. I won't be subscribing to CBS All Access for this. I'm not that big of a Trek head, but I would enjoy it if it was on YouTube. I'd probably watch it. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I don't know. My gut says that that Star Trek is a brand that is aspirational. It aims to elevate our minds to what humans might eventually come to be. There is a place for what it's like to, scrub the decks on the lowest, parts of a ship. But I don't know. I don't understand why it needs to be a Star Trek thing outside of a random Picard showing or something.
It's not that it needs to be a Star Trek thing. It's that Star Trek wants to try out an irreverent show. They want to they want to push the boundaries. They want to go where no Star Trek show has gone before, being funny. So this is how you do it. You say, all right, let's talk about, all the Star Trek shows are about really important people doing really important things in the Federation. There've got to be places in the universe that don't have that. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about those ships. Let's talk about those people and what they do. I think that's a valid premise to try a show. It's all in the execution, whether you can make that funny or not. And I think it can be funnier because it's in the Star Trek universe, and we all know that. So it can reference a lot of things within the universe that wouldn't matter or wouldn't work that well outside of it. So, like I say, it's all a question of execution.
Right. I believe all of your words, but I also heard the tone, and I feel like we're both putting it on yellow alert. Would that be accurate?
Yes. In comedy incoming, yellow alert, brace for impact.
Amazon is developing a show based on Bethesda's game Fallout. Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy, who helm Westworld together, will develop a Fallout game, a Fallout game-based TV show. A statement from Nolan and Joy said, quote, "Each chapter of this insanely imaginative story has cost us countless hours that we could have spent with family and friends." Weird hot take. So we're incredibly excited to partner this with Todd Howard and the rest of the brilliant lunatics at Bethesda to bring this massive, subversive, and darkly funny universe to life with Amazon Studios. I don't know. It's hard for me to even read that with a straight face.
Do you want to follow?
Seems like
TV
they just
show?
described every television project ever.
Right. Do you want a Fallout TV show? That's the question, Brian.
What I want is anybody to try to shoot for the stars. And the tempting thing right now is for me to bank all of my Fallout experiences and decide that that's as good as it is going to get. And anyone who tries harder is only going to put my current love for the Fallout universe at risk. And I encourage myself, just like I do with the Cowboy Bebop, just like with the Airbender project, all of that stuff. If something is good, it's good in every version, and the world is richer in every iteration of it. And I believe that Fallout is a good enough franchise, a good enough world, a good enough story that not even the people, I mean, let's face it, Westworld was made better by there being those first 3 seasons. And I believe Fallout will be made better by an attempt to try to do the same. Am I alone? I'm alone.
I'm actually really looking forward to this. The people that brought Westworld in any capacity have the ability to bring a gritty, post-apocalyptic world together. So if anybody's going to do it, I think this was probably the right crew to do it. And after that, it really just becomes the writing, because that's where the Fallout games have really taken shape, is in the writing, the stories that they're telling, and the relationships that build. And if they can carry that into the screen, then I'm pretty excited about this.
I think it's good that this time Westworld will not be accused of ripping off Fallout.
Ha!
A trailer is out for Netflix's Cursed, telling the story of Nimue, the Lady of the Lake in Arthurian legend. The series was in production before the publication of a book called Cursed by Tom Wheeler, with illustrations from Frank Miller. But that was all part of the plan, because Wheeler, who also wrote for the TV series Empire and The Cape, wrote the Lego Ninjago movie, developed the TV show with Miller as well. So this was, let's write a book. Miller, you illustrate it. Let's do a TV show. We'll showrun it. We'll executive produce it. We'll use Miller's illustrations, and Wheeler will write it. Basically, the idea is Nimue's mother gives the Sword of Power, aka Excalibur, to Nimue with instructions to deliver it to Merlin, but Nimue decides to wield it for herself to protect her people, the Fae, from the Red Paladins, the Church. And of course, you'll get an Arthur and a Gawain and a Morgana and most of the usual Arthurian crew in there as well. Did you see this trailer, Brian?
I did not watch the trailer, but it sounds, man, does it sound similar to Warrior Nun? It's just a magical object that doesn't belong to somebody who somebody's going to take a test drive with and then, eventually get around to doing the right thing.
I was struck by, now of course this being the trailer, the picked and choose the scenes that they want to show, but it looks amazing. It looks gorgeous. It looks like there's a lot of action. It looks like it's done really well. And I had never heard of this before reading the show notes, and this made me excited about it.
The show is definitely a throwback to, or not a throwback. It sounds very similar to ideas that Marion Zimmer Bradley played with in Mists of Avalon. It's certainly not the first Arthurian show, but I don't know if you want to criticize it for that, because there's been like 1 million different takes on Arthur going back to the Middle Ages. It's a question of whether they pull off an interesting story here or not, and I think they might.
Conan O'Brien will be the first U.S. late night talk show host to move out of the house. Conan O'Brien is going to start recording in his in an actual studio on July 6th at the Comedy Club Largo at the Coronet in L.A. The show will have a limited crew and no audience. What do you think no audience sounds like? I'm going to guess somebody laughs somewhere, right?
It's no different than what he's got going on now, except maybe he's got a few more crew members or something. But the point here was to get some money to Largo. Conan has done a lot to keep, comedy funded in LA and putting on pop-up comedy shows, getting some stand-up comics a chance to get in front of an audience. And so, he can't do that right now. But what he can do is say to CBS, or to TBS, sorry, I want to do my show here. Let's pay them and get them some money, because they can't be doing shows right now.
Yeah, this is a great idea. I hope other late night shows in particular follow this, because it seems like something pretty easy to do. You're already talking to a wall with a camera. Might as well talk to a room full of walls with cameras, and up the production value a little bit, keep your people employed and keep them in practice, and also provide funding to a local institution, a local arts theater that is struggling right now. I think this is just a win all the way around.
Let's get to the notes. Episode 1 of season 4 of The Good Fight from CBS All Access is available to stream for free on YouTube until July 15th. And 10 select episodes from all 4 seasons are available for free at CBS.com, the CBS app, Amazon Prime Video, and the Apple TV app. Way to try to suck you into the story. Mad Men left Netflix last month and has now landed on Amazon Prime Video in several parts of the world. In the United States, Mad Men will stream on Amazon's free IMDb TV service as well, starting July 15th. So you can watch it now on Prime Video for free on IMDb TV starting July 15th. In some places of the world, it's going to be on Stars Play, and in the United States and a few other places, AMC will also get the rights to air episodes of Mad Men and stream it on demand starting in October. Apple TV got the rights to an action period movie called Emancipation, starring Will Smith and directed by Antoine Fuqua. Emancipation is based on the true story of a slave escaping Louisiana to join the Union Army during the Civil War. Apple also reached a deal with the Maurice Sendak Foundation to create TV series and specials based on Sendak's books, including, of course, Where the Wild Things Are. And Netflix landed Aaron Sorkin's The Trial of the Chicago 7, telling the story of peaceful protests of the 1968 Democratic Convention that turned violent and led to the arrest of 7 of its organizers. Cast includes Watchmen's Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, Eddie Redmayne, Sacha Baron Cohen, Jeremy Strong, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Alex Sharp, Mark Rylance, Michael Keaton, Frank Langella, and John Carroll Lynch. So all-star cast there for a Netflix original movie.
Sounds light as can be. Just if you're looking for some candy, that sounds like perfect candy. Light, easy. Sure, nothing bad happens.
Well, I mean, they get arrested.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, spoiler. All right, let's talk about what we've had our eyes on. Something you've been watching, Amos, that you want to talk to folks about.
For the last 2 years, I've been listening to the Hamilton soundtrack. I've not made it to a show. Every opportunity I've had has been shot, and I have been desperately waiting for the opportunity to actually watch the stage production of Hamilton the musical, and to be able to watch it on Disney Plus this last weekend with the original cast and crew. And I even did a watch party with some people that had never seen it, never heard it or anything else. It's just a wonderful experience. And if you haven't seen it, or if you have seen it and you just want to know more about it, I put a link in the notes for Howard Ho's Hamilton playlist. This is a guy that breaks down the motifs. He breaks down the themes. He breaks down the music. He breaks down all the different aspects of Hamilton that make Hamilton Hamilton. And I'm not really into musicals. I love Hamilton. So go watch it.
Yeah, I think most of the United States watched Hamilton over the weekend. Brian, did you watch anything this week that was not Hamilton?
I had an answer and then suddenly I didn't. I watched Snatch. Turns out you could love a thing and then discover it's kind of silly. That's my opinion on Snatch. But more importantly, I tricked my children into watching both Terminator 1 and Terminator 2, and while the eldest of the two knew the conceits of both, the younger had no idea. Like she just experienced Terminator, oh my gosh, this is a bad robot, and then went straight into Terminator 2, and she was just like, well, wait, but that's the bad robot, and who's this other robot? He seems kind of what? It was awesome. It was great.
That's great. I love that. I want to rent your children and watch these movies with them. It sounds so much fun. I've been watching a Chinese wuxia. Those are the martial arts series called Untamed. It's available on Netflix, so you don't have to go to Viki or any of those lesser known apps. Right there in Netflix, called Untamed, and it's about two young martial artists in a kind of a fictional fantasy historical land who are a bit of an odd couple situation. In fact, there's I don't think Chinese TV allows this to be explicit, but there's definitely a boy love relationship going on under the surface. And they stick together through thick and thin, even though one of them is outcast from the clans and thought to be evil. They do a great job of showing fake news of why someone would be thought to be evil and his reputation would be evil, but in reality he's just trying to protect some farmers and get by. So it's really interesting. It's got good martial arts. If you like that sort of thing, check out Untamed on Netflix. Let's see what's on the lookout, Bryce.
Hey, everybody. So I got a recommendation this week. I was scrolling through Netflix today, and it recommended this new anime series that I guess came out near the end of June called BNA. This is set in a world where humans and beastmen exist, like humanoid animal people. There's a high schooler named Michiru that is suddenly turned into a tanuki beast man. This is like a raccoon sort of thing, and she goes to look for refuge in Anima City, which is like a beastmen only city. What she finds out is that the societal rules are kind of different when everyone is part animal, and with the help of a wolf called Shiro, she tries to settle in and figure out how she became one of these beast men, and how to live in the city. This is produced by a company called Studio Trigger. You might know them for Kill la Kill or the Little Witch Academia series. So the 2D, well, there are some 3D effects, but it's 2D animation with a lot of color, a lot of energy. I'm only a couple of episodes in, but I think it's pretty cool. And I really was not a fan of Beastars, the other Netflix anime show about humanoid animals. That was kind of a more macho and sort of horror-y sort of romance story, where this one is a little lighter, a little funnier. Also, the English dub is pretty good, but if you don't turn on the subtitles, then they don't subtitle the on-screen text for a newspaper headline or forms that they're looking at. But the subtitles also don't match the English dub. They are the text translation of the Japanese dub. So a little bit of wonkiness there, but I think it's pretty neat. Why don't you let us know if you've got something we should be on the lookout for? Email cordkillers@gmail.com, and also it's on Netflix.
Bryce, there are times that I think to myself, if only my 16-year-old daughter watched this show.
She would love it.
Like the stuff that you just said, I just want to take that 2-minute chunk and hand it to her and say, yeah, your dad's pretty cool. He knows this guy.
You should totally do that. You should just cut and paste it and send it to her. Hey, folks, Brian and I do a lot of stuff to keep us going outside of the show. And, we like to tell you about that. One of the things that I'm so excited about is a project called Current Geek Chronicles with Scott Johnson, where Scott and I decided to see what would happen if we actually got people who knew what they were doing with editing and research to help us deep dive on geeky topics. And it's one of the best things I've ever done. We already started on it with the hopes that people will back it on Kickstarter, but we need help to make sure that we can pay these folks to do the editing and research with us to continue it to a full season of deep dives on, where did the name mana come from? Why do people say zoom and enhance in movies? And Mortal Kombat. What do the kids who played it back then think about violent video games with their kids now? All of that stuff and more is part of Current Geek Chronicles. And if it sounds cool to you, go support it right now at support.currentgeek.com.
That is awesome. It's like you're doing Radiolab, but geekier than Radiolab, which is quite an accomplishment.
Thank you. I take that as a compliment. We also don't want to forget to thank Doghouse Systems for making it possible for us to even talk to you right now.
Heck yeah, dude. They provided all the hardware that we're running right now. Head on over to doghousesystems.com/v/rogue, ROGUE. Use promo code ROGUE at checkout. Keep us in business.
Let's move on to the front lines.
Front lines!
There's a lot of things Disney Plus hasn't done, but it didn't throw away its shot to happen in everyone's rooms this weekend. Hamilton, as we mentioned, premiered on Disney Plus, causing the app to be downloaded 72.4% more times than the average weekend in the United States. That's the 4-week average, 72.4% spike in downloads. And in fact, worldwide, up 46.6%, those numbers according to Apptopia, and don't include India or Japan in the worldwide numbers because Disney Plus is an add-on to another service there.
Also because they don't care about American independence.
I don't know if that's true.
Nah, because
it's 46.6% in the rest of the world that you might not think cared about American independence either.
Good point. Meanwhile, in an interview with The Guardian about his movie Greyhound, Tom Hanks expressed regret that it had to be released on Apple TV. He called the change of plans, quote, an absolute heartbreak. I don't mean to be angry about my Apple overlords, but there's a difference between picture and sound quality. He also complained that Apple required him to do press interviews in front of a blank wall, calling them, quote, the cruel whipmasters at Apple, which is only the way you get to talk after you've starred in Bosom Buddies.
That's right. If he had never starred in Bosom Buddies, Apple wouldn't put up with that kind of stuff. I wonder about this. What was the conversation where they're like, no, Tom, you can't stand in front of your bookshelf. We need you in front of a white wall. And he's like, well, I'm going to complain about this on the in the interview then.
My goodness. Have you seen Tom giving 0 F words live in front of a studio audience as he's promoting the video game for the Da Vinci Code? It is next level. This is going to be, put a pin in this, remind us in After Talk. You've got to see this. It's amazing.
A few app updates to talk about. The Amazon Prime Video app now available in the Microsoft Store for Windows 10. It's basically the web version, but you can support offline viewing. You can download things on your laptop, tablet, whatever. The Apple TV app for LG now supports Dolby Atmos, and Vizio announced that the Apple TV app and AirPlay 2 support, both coming to Vizio TVs, at least some of the Vizio TVs, later this year.
And Telemundo has become the most popular YouTube channel of any U.S.-based broadcast network. Each of Telemundo's U.S. channels now have at least 1 million subscribers, and and the main channel has 10.6 million. The channels are mostly recaps and short clips, and will be encouraging people to, encouraging folks to download the Peacock operating system to see the full shows. Telemundo makes up about 1 out of 5 of Peacock content.
Yeah, not an operating system. I think you're giving NBC too much credit there. It's just an app, but yeah. They're using the Telemundo popularity to direct people to Peacock, which I think is a competitive advantage for Peacock.
Yes, 100%.
Walmart will partner with Tribeca Enterprises to show drive-in movies in 160 Walmart parking lots from August through October. Tribeca will select the films. So far, the list includes Selena, The Bodyguard, Straight Outta Compton, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Back to the Future, Mean Girls, Casino Royale. I got a bunch more. But yeah, if you want to go sit in your car and watch a movie and get curbside service of snacks and stuff, look to your local Walmart, I guess.
This is number one, totally on brand for Walmart. Number two, totally brilliant because it allows them with a straight face to say, we saved movies. Go out with your family, sit together in a comfortable space and watch everything.
We know you're stir crazy. Come to the Walmart parking lot. It's a safe way to hang out with your family that's not at home.
I mean, I see no downside to this. What about you guys?
My sister-in-law works at Walmart here in Wasilla, Alaska, and she was excited about it. And that tells me that even because she doesn't like people in her parking lot, she's one of the managers there, and she's like, they're just here too often. But if she's excited about it, that tells me that overall the feeling at Walmart is going to be excited, which will bring this whole thing to a much more pleasant experience.
Headline, jaded Walmart employees even excited about Walmart drive-in movies.
And meanwhile, Sony dominated the box office this weekend with Ghostbusters, spending its 8th week at number one. The first 7, of course, being happening in 1984. Ghostbusters brought in $550,000 for the week. Sony also nabbed the number 2 spot with Jumanji, The Next Level, bringing in $300,000. IFC's brand new release, Relic, brought in $282,000 to take third, and Jurassic Park and Jaws fell to numbers 4 and 5. It's like we live in the sideways universe, Tom.
There was no way to know what these releases would be, but can you imagine if we had done the summer movie draft with these as the titles?
We're living it. Yeah.
Like if we had known ahead of time, like, okay, they're going to stop showing new movies. There'll be a few indies like IFC's Relic that you can bid on, or you could buy Jurassic Park, Ghostbusters, and Jaws.
My only regret is that they didn't make a big thing of releasing them all at the same time. And of course, there's no way for them to have known. But let's say all of Walmart decided they were going to have a movie league, and it's like, we're going to keep showing movies based on sales, and whichever movie keeps getting seen is the one that wins. And then drive-in after drive-in after drive-in, they declare a single winner. That'd be amazing.
By the way, Ghostbusters was a July 4th weekend hit in 1984 as well. That was in its like 6th or 7th week, because it was released in early June, but it was number one on July 4th in 1984 and in 2020. Let's get to some dispatches from the front. Just one this week from Richard. Richard says, I'm a few weeks behind on both podcasts and TV, so I apologize if this message comes a little late for both the conversation and for Pride Month. I hadn't watched Love, Simon or Love, Victor until this past weekend. Did I mention I was a little behind on stuff? I get that they aren't revolutionary or mind-blowing in any way, but I'd like to appeal to you to just think for a moment how wonderful it is that we could be bored by a movie or TV show focused on gay coming of age. Frankly, I'm not bored. I think it's delightful that a show like this is just another in a lineup of shows about kids growing up and trying to understand themselves. I'm a middle-aged gay white guy who marches the marches and fought the fights to get us here. So let's not forget how incredible it is that we are here. And let's not also take for granted that everyone enjoys these privileges. I live in a lovely private community where another gay family was robbed and harassed this weekend, so it's not so commonplace or boring everywhere. Hopefully, though, it's inspiring and enlightening for some. Love, Richard, friend and past guest of the show.
Yes to all. Like, I think it's great. Like, also speaking as a queer man, it's great when there's big budget representation, especially as big as Love, Simon was. I think it's great that it's filling in the teen romantic comedy space, and having movies about queer people that isn't just like, oh, and then they all died at the end. I also do think that there are many steps to go in terms of better representation, right? I think Nick Robinson and Michael Cimino are great in Love, Simon and Love, Victor. I also don't think it's great that two straight guys are playing gay guys in these pieces of film. I think that feels like a weird misstep to do it both times. And I also think like, oh, cool, a movie about an attractive white guy, or in Love Victor's case, he's Hispanic. Cool, attractive people in high school. Who am I gonna fall in love with now? Like there are other depths to be plumbed, but I do agree it's great that stuff is out there and that these are the beginning baby steps. But if I'm the captain of the ship, I know many directions I think we could move forward.
How much of the experience is about and they're gay is part of the story?
You mean, sorry.
As a counter example, like I'm playing The Last of Us Part 2 with my 12-year-old, and we get to a part where, the main character is exploring a same-sex relationship, and it's not even a thing. Like it's not even brought up as being remotely weird or interesting or worthy of even note. Like as far as I know, they've never even noted the fact or whatever. Is that the case in the movies, or do they make a bit of a thing of?
I mean, these are movies about young men discovering their sexuality. So yes, it is a central tenet of the plot.
Yeah.
Which is great. I mean, it's
video games are better than movies. Finally, got them to admit it.
But thank you for the email, Richard.
Yeah, thank you, Richard. Appreciate that. And thank you, Amos, for joining us on the show, man.
Happy to be here. You can catch me anytime on anywhere with the name, not Amos, Ethan Kane. And I'm very happy to talk to you guys about all the new stuff happening in the world of TV, because movies, not so much these days.
Not as many, no. Although you did get to see one called Hamilton. Did you watch that? You did watch that. Yeah, you told us.
Hamilton. It sounds
Is it
familiar.
Hamilton? Hamilton? Yeah. Thank you, Amos. Thank you, everybody, for listening and watching. Our website is cordkillers.com. Our email address is cordkillers@gmail.com. We're live on twitch.tv/9attack, also carried on diamondclub.tv, Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. We'll talk to you again next time.
Hey, Tom Merritt.
Yes, Brian Brushwood.
Know who I love even more than my own children?
Your other children?
No, not my wife. I know what you're saying. I love our $5 patrons. These are the people that keep us loud, live, and independent. Thank you so much, $5 patrons.
You know what? I love them more than not life itself, because then I'd be dead and I couldn't appreciate them, but really, really, really close. And I'm so thankful that they are here to make this show happen.
Thank you so much to all of our $5 a month patrons. You guys are wizards. You're champions.
Thank you, everyone.
You're heroes.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.